Hi everyone, it's James from GAMINGbible. I'm here with Imogen.
Hi everyone.
And we're talking about Resident Evil Village, which I don't think is what it says in the game, but I like it. Imogen, the demo came out over the weekend, and we got a little bit of a sneak preview at the game itself. The first thing I noticed had to be the combat. What do you make of it?
The combat is going to be really interesting. It's going to be very much focusing on, in this kind of space, you are going to be set upon by pretty much anything. You just will never feel safe. And I think that's just going to be a really great difference to Resident Evil 7, where like you still had those kind of like, I can kind of predict where this next scare is going to come from, and I think that like it's just going to be really exciting all the time.
I love little bits like barricading yourself in the house, putting a mine down and watching a lichen just blow up, skipping ahead from the demo and all that to the stuff we saw. Lady Dimitrescu, she's Kyron. Like, she's really scary the way she just bomb stomps around in her size 22 feet or whatever Capcom said. This is going to be like, this is horror, right?
I really enjoyed that part of our like little snippet that we saw, because I just think that she's going to be iconic. Like, we had so much about her height and everything, and that kind of almost overshadowing, pun not intended, the actual fear that she's going to trigger in players. And just seeing her like kind of stalk you around the house or castle grounds, it's just gonna be great.
How gorgeous is this game?
It looks amazing. It really does. And it's that kind of really frigid, really like overbearing feeling of the trees coming over your like shoulders. And is that something, or is that just the like shadows playing tricks on me? It's definitely gonna stick in people's minds long after they play.
Well, it's interesting you say about the tricks of it, because in demo, when you meet those lichens in the tall grass, you can't really see them. Everything's this sort of bleak grey, the kind of grey that you only seem to get in a horror film. This desolate kind of otherworldly, surrealist feel that suits Resident Evil brilliantly. And the visuals are incredible. It's all thrown out the window, though, when you get inside the castle. This really rich red kind of... This must be the inspiration. I assume this came first. This must be where the Spencer Mansion came from in Resident Evil. This regal but horrifying place,
Yeah, definitely the imagery and the like sharp contrast between those two areas. All of these encounters, whether they're inside the castle or they're outside, they're always going to have almost a cinematic aspect to them. Yeah. There's going to be you like facing either the elements or like being almost kind of claustrophobically trapped in this beautiful but extremely dangerous castle.
Well, I like that as well, like as you said, the claustrophobia, because there are sort of House of the Dead style flying bat people enemies. They have this mobility and range that we don't have, so you're really aware of like, I can move in several directions and they can just fly above me. So it is really scary the way that they... Well, the enemies they're unreal. There's something about these ones, they're stranger than ever. Like, this Heisenberg bloke who seems to be the big king of the werewolves, and his Lycan army chasing you for a run, and there's this weird sort of Bride of Chucky-esque mini person, and this weird The Witcher style ogre thing, and like, what's going on?
Yeah, the characters that we saw in our like little preview and the ones in like the demo, it's almost strange because you associate these with like fairy tales or like storybooks, but they've had their own kind of resi twist on them, and one that you will definitely be like, okay, I can't predict that. And as you said, like the little Bride of Chucky kind of doll.
Yeah.
I just want to know more. Like, none of this really makes sense in my head at the moment, and I just want to know, how does Heisenberg fit into the dynamic between Ethan and Lady Dimitrescu? Is he going to be some sort of ally in the fact that he will help you get out of Lady D's like clutches, or like vice versa?
Will it be a political thing? Is Heisenberg wanting rid of his older sister? Is that why? Because we don't see what happens. We just see that Ethan is chased by Heisenberg, and then you're chased by Lady D, who supposedly isn't meant to deal with you. And who the hell is Mother Miranda?
I'm also really intrigued by her mythology and her like design, because I know that it's gonna have to come back down to earth at some point, and I hope that mystery is still maintained.
That's a very interesting point, because in Resident Evil, it's always a matter of time until you're in a laboratory, And I don't think they can do that this time. I don't think you can stick that landing. So we're going to have to get something else. Like Resident Evil 5 is very bold in that it said, well, actually, this flower that's been around forever gives you a sort of superhuman life. So it's like, oh, it is sort of fantastical and magical. And that was good. I think Resident Evil 8 will have to channel that. Resident Evil 4 did it too with the Plagas Underground. That brings us to a good point. This just feels like Resident Evil 4's world, but with Resi 7 mechanics, doesn't it?
Yeah, literally, like, couldn't have summed it up better, to be honest. And like I just got that like mixing or melding of these two very, very different entries into the series. And I think that in that respect, if you're a bit worried and you're not quite sure about these strange elements about like werewolves, the castle, it being open world, you'll have that recognizable Resi 4 kind of feeling about it. And if you aren't too acquainted with the older ones, then you still have the kind of accessibility and the kind of familiarity of 7.
We mentioned the characters, the human characters. You know, we meet Elena, we meet her father, we meet, I think she's called Louisa.
Yes, yeah.
You know, the house, the refuge, and things like that. The story seems to be told a lot through the characters, and not just what they say, but their body language and their posturing. Like, this is a really sophisticated set of NPCs.
Yeah, they looked really, really good, and I really wanted to learn more through them. And how does this village come to be in such a state and such a like sudden kind of upheaval? I did find having the kind of American accents a bit jarring. Like, I get it, but I'm also like, these people have been like living in this hamlet for like maybe hundreds of years, and it was just a bit funny, like, I don't know.
No, I get you, but I mean, you have to remember that the whole world has an American accent.
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot.
Was there anything in this demo, or in the preview footage, sorry, was there anything that you wish you had more time to take in and to examine?
I would love to see more of the village. Like, I love the way that the castle looks, and I love the intricacy of the puzzles that were shown off there, and
even that sort of screwball scramble one.
Oh yeah, I really enjoyed that. I was like, I can tell that this is I'm gonna be like perspiring to the max. I'm like, this needs to work, otherwise I'm gonna die. I would just love to see more of the village, because I think this is where the story and the kind of like fantastical elements that you were talking about is gonna shine, because it's gonna be retold through the NPCs that live there, and they're going to have their own interpretations, and I feel like putting together the pieces through these set pieces is going to be really fun.
Made a couple of notes that I'll just quickly refer to, because I said to myself, it's got a lot of parallels with Resi 4, which is you beat an enemy and they drop either an item or money, or they'll drop ammo. You can barricade doors with bookcases, you know. Obviously the rural setting looks very similar to the village in RE4. The way that a bell rings and that saves you, you know, because that whole village bit looks like an updated version of the opening village in Resident Evil 4. And then, of course, the castle. And even Mother Miranda, she has a kind of a Lord Sadler vibe. You know, this cloaked figure you don't really see. They've obviously got superhuman powers. But that does lead me to the thing that I was most fascinated with. That sort of fetus in the nest with the 6 wings on the doors.
Yeah.
Like, what is that? I keep thinking it's a baby nemesis, but that can't be. It can't be that, right? But I keep thinking, to me, that's the one thing I wish I could rip apart and look at for hours. And I thought that since I first saw it at a Resident Evil showcase.
I also really love the old lady that's got that staff of skulls and like teeth. It seems really like zany. She kind of gives me, I think her name is Matilda from the Addams Family. Like, she just seems to like have this like insider knowledge of what's going on, and she just seems also really, really amused by what's going on. And so I think she'll be a great foil for like the strangeness that's going on, and like the kind of a bit of lightness and comedy. She
definitely seems to be very clued up and really relaxed considering the violence around.
Yeah, she'll just have some absolutely cracking lines, I think, given everything that's going on and how like upset everyone is, and everything has gone all the way down the pan.
Right, well, I think that's probably everything that we have to say about it. There's more demos to come. It's a very weird thing Capcom are doing with these demos. I don't get it, but, you know, they're staggered and they're time sensitive and whatever. But I'm looking forward to it. How are you feeling now about Village?
I'm definitely much more fascinated by the world now that I've had a little look at it and been able to kind of go a bit more hands-on with it.
I just have so many questions. And that's for the first time I genuinely feel I don't know what's going to come from Resident Evil. So I'm very excited.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Imogen, thank you very much for talking to me about Resi. And thank you to me. I've been great as always.
Thank you.